Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francesco PETRUCCIONE. I'm the interim director of NITheCS. It's a real pleasure to see so many of you here in person, and there is a similar number online. Yeah, so this is a hybrid event, so please bear with us if not everything goes as smoothly as it should. I'm very happy that we are here today because there are a few reasons why we organized this summit today. Yeah? Maybe the more abstract reason is that this year is still the International Year for Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development, and this event is part of the festivities to celebrate the important role of basic sciences, and essentially for everything. Yeah, as you know, all this technology wouldn't be here without basic sciences. Yeah? The second, more practical reason is that in December last year at the World Science Forum in Cape Town, NITheCS signed an MOU with ICTP, the International Center for Theoretical Physics in Trieste. And we are very happy that the director of SITHOLE and his colleague Sandro Scandalo are here with us this morning. Yeah? So essentially, it's a little bit of the launch of the collaboration at a higher level. And in fact, as we speak, 6 South African students are already at SITHOLE for a quantum hackathon this week. So there is funding from PSI generously provided to support travel from South African students and academics to take part in ICTP activities, and of course in the other direction as well. Yeah? And hopefully we will make good use of it. Yeah. So the third reason is that tomorrow we start the first advanced school for high performance computing for sustainable development, and this is also a first because NITheCS already in the past has partnered with the CHPC, and we're very happy to have Dr. Happy SITHOLE with us today. And we organized several schools together, but we haven't organized before an advanced school in high performance computing. Yeah? So hopefully this will be the beginning of a new tradition, and maybe something that might lead to some masters in high performance computing or whatever. Yeah? We will see how the trajectory goes, yeah? But this is what some of the things that we would like to achieve. Yeah. So we then you're probably not here to listen to me. There are many more important people that have to address you. So let me start with Mr. Imraan Patel, who is the official representative of DSI this afternoon. And Mr. Patel, if you would like to say a few words, you're most than welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks and good afternoon. And I'm also sure that you're not here to listen to me. I'm in fact here to listen to the esteemed speakers from our partners. But just a few words of remark. Before I start, I can't but pay tribute to a wonderful colleague that I had a small chance of working with, who passed away very early, very suddenly, Dr. Daniel Adams, who was crucial in some of the initiatives we're speaking about, whether it's the basic sciences of ICTP. So I share my condolences to people who've worked with him, and appreciate your wonderful comments, which when we have an opportunity, we'll share with the family. Just a few comments. I mean, DSI is proud to be part of this. It's part of this notion of a legacy. We're trying to build a very strong science system. And whether it's the CHPC, which I remember from way back when I started at DSI, at that time it was a DST, it was just an idea. And then we got leadership in the form of Dr. SITHOLE and others who've taken it to where it is now. Whenever I go internationally, where we're talking about the SCAIFE, etc., the CHPC is noted with pride. And then we have NITheCS that kind of evolved from being very specifically focused on theoretical physics to understand that science needs to make an impact, and broadening it out to the kind of key challenges that we face today, whether it's climate change or health or pandemics, And the basic sciences have a kind of phenomenal role to play in this. And then we have the ICTP. As part of our international partnerships, we participate in many of these international programs. And so this bringing together of the CHPC and NITICS and ICTP kind of represents another milestone in building a very strong science system. So I witnessed with the minister the signing of the MOU, and I think it was just 4 months ago, and we working on an advanced school. And so my appreciation to the colleagues from ICTP, the director and your colleagues who have traveled. It's not such a big distance, and at least the time zones on the same framework, so you don't have jet lag in the same way. But for coming together and spending this week, sharing your experiences, your knowledge, and helping South African and African researchers develop their content. And then let me end off by saying that I heard very briefly, so I don't know much, but there's a cohort of students here who are going to be attending the advanced program from tomorrow onwards. So both to the South African researchers, but to also our colleagues from the rest of the continent. Welcome, and I hope you have a great advanced school, and I look forward to the lectures this afternoon. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Professor Atish DABHOLKAR, the director of ICTP. Atish, please.
Okay, so it's a real pleasure. Thank you for the invitation to open this advanced school. As Imraan, the Deputy Director General of DSI mentioned, we signed this MOU only very recently, just 4 months ago, in the presence of the minister and also in the presence of the Director General of DSI. And it's a beginning of a very important collaboration between ICTP, NITheCS, and Center for High Performance Computing, and DSI, of course, is behind it all. So it's and as I said, I'm really glad that within 4 months we have this very nice school put together. I met some of the students where I was coming from the airport, and it's very good to see such a diverse group of students coming from and benefiting from this school. And as you mentioned, some of you have visited ICTP or are visiting ICTP as we speak. And so I would like to tell you a bit about ICTP. And then I will tell you a bit about this collaboration and what ICTP has in mind, which I think will be of interest to all of you. So this is ICTP. As you can see, it's a very beautiful campus right next to a castle, and it's a forest preserve. It's a UNESCO heritage area. And this is ICTP. This is where our offices are. And the motto of ICTP is really, if you can summarize it in one word or in one line, is science without borders. Sorry, not moving forward. Maybe I need to go to the. I'm not able to move it. Maybe I need to go here and then do it. Good. I think I need to. I was in the wrong window. So let me just tell you a bit about ICTP, since not all of you may know about ICTP. So it was founded in 1964 by the Nobel laureate from Pakistan, Abdul Salam. And it is governed by a tripartite agreement between government of Italy, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and UNESCO. And it's a Category 1 center of UNESCO. And there are 3 elements that are central to our unique mission. One is to conduct world-class research in frontier areas of science. The second is to help build scientific capacity around the world and capacity building in the developing world. And the goal is really to overcome the barriers of geography, gender, or ethnicity, or class, to make scientific resources available to all young researchers and promote international cooperation through science. And you can already see that all these three elements are present in this school. So it's an example of ICTP's mission. And this is a typical day at ICTP. As you can see, again, we have students from all over the world. So it was conceived by Salam as an international hub for science. And because he was from Pakistan, when he returned to Pakistan, he found that scientifically he was not happy. And he was forced to relocate. And he therefore felt that one should create a place where researchers from all over the world can come together, work at the frontiers of science, get to meet the best people in their field, and go back and, with their batteries charged. And this is the way to bring together North and South and East and West. And this was a very important, for the last 60 years, ICTP has done this in a very remarkable way. Every year we organize about 60 conferences, workshops, and activities at Trieste, and some are organized around the world. There are about 6,000 scientists from basically every country visit our campus every year, and half of them are fully funded by ICTP. We have partner institutes in Rwanda, Brazil, and so on, and making the latest developments at the frontiers of scientific research available to scientists from around the globe. That's our fundamental mission. And you can see it really has had a global impact. I think this number is a bit old, in fact. Already probably close to 200,000 visits of scientists have visited ICTP since, okay, this is since 1970, maybe, okay, so I think the number is closer to 200,000 from essentially every country. And about 27% are women. And we are slowly increasing this number. So hopefully one day it will be. So among our students, we have already managed to reach 50-50 among our master students. And you can see it's really the global pie. Almost every continent and country is represented here. And this is a beautiful picture of one of our graduation ceremonies. You can see that, it's really like a rainbow of people coming from. And what is special about ICTP's approach towards this is not that we are not like a conference center. It's that we really have a long-term engagement with the countries and with the people. So we support many scientists from the developing world throughout their career in many different ways, and who in turn educate several younger scientists in their home country. So this is like a multiplier effect, which is really the strength of ICTP. So in fact, throughout we have scientists coming at various stages of their career, either as a student, junior researcher, a researcher, or a senior researcher. We have various programs catering to various stages of scientific careers of people. We have this diploma program, which is very popular, master's degree, PhD. We have an interesting program called the STEP program, which is a sandwich training. So you can do PhD somewhere else, but spend a few months at ICTP as a kind of a co-advised PhD. Then you can be a junior associate, regular associate, senior associate. Even when you are working in your home country as a professor, you can visit ICTP. So this is a very nice and successful program. Then we have training and research in Italian laboratories. So since ICTP is primarily a theory institute, but you can actually come to important Italian laboratories and spend. Some of the experimental students come, for example, Electra is a synchrotron facility in Trieste. and students come and do their students or scientists or researchers. Then we have partner institutes and conferences and workshops. So we really span a whole spectrum of activities. Now, the third pillar of our mission is the international cooperation and science advocacy. And ICTP has played a very important role as a door opener for science infrastructures and a catalyst for international cooperation through science. I mean, so I welcome all of you to visit ICTP. The ICTP Cafe is a nice place where, of course, you get very good Italian coffee, but it's also a place where you will see scientists from warring countries talking to each other in the common language of science. You will see Americans and Iranians talking to each other, or North Koreans and South Koreans talking to each other. So, or, I'm from India and Pakistan sometimes I'm not in. But we have many students from both India and Pakistan. But that informal setting actually translates into, because people form friendships and also scientific collaborations, and as it helps in building communication. And one very shining example of that is the so-called the Sesame project in Jordan. It's a synchrotron facility based in Jordan. And of course, many people have contributed to its success. CERN was involved, ICTP was involved, but ICTP funded a seminal conference in Dahad, Egypt in 1996. And it united people from Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Morocco, Egypt. So people, even though despite the possible political tensions, they could come and together on a platform and agree on funding a synchrotron light source facility. And when people started to talk about it, it was like a pipe dream. People said, oh, this is not going to work. But it worked, and ICTP played a major role in making it happen. And in fact, even today, we continue to support researchers from Jordan in their training. And so we remain involved in this. So there is a similar role now ICTP is playing in Southeastern Europe and Africa, for example, or there is a LAMP project to have a synchrotron facility either in Africa or in other parts of Asia and South America. And ICTP continues to play this role as a kind of a convening, because we are an international organization, we have this convening power to really bring together different stakeholders. So we have global partnerships at various levels, as I said, and we have some very interesting programs like Physics Without Frontiers, a very nice program for young pre-master students, something like 10,000 pre-master students we were able to reach out to in 50 countries. And some of them then go on to, this is to get them excited about science, tell them what is there. And many of them then come to ICTP to do their postgraduate or to do their PhD at CERN. So it has been quite a successful program. I was told that I have time, so I'm going slow. So scientific capacity building around the world, you can really see that not only on our campus in Trieste, but around the world, we have left this imprint. Almost in every place, many places, ICTP has either held conferences, schools or workshops, networks, scientific meetings, partner institutes, affiliated centers. So there are many ways we have been interacting with our partners around the world. Now, let me come to the topic of today's school and this collaboration that we signed, which was referred to recently, just now. So this is the idea that at ICTP, we started to think about it about 3 years ago, that there is a need for an international consortium for scientific computing. And I don't need to tell you that scientific computing will be increasingly important in the coming decade in very diverse topics, all the way from climate research which is very practically important, directly of relevance to the countries, to more more theoretical or more more theoretical explorations like the theories of the early universe, but through experimental facilities like the Square Kilometre Array, which is a big project in South Africa and Australia. And these kinds of experimental facilities will produce enormous amount of data. And the climate science requires huge simulations. And it is fundamentally important that the scientists in their home country are able to actually, we were just discussing this, that to understand the climate in South Africa, you cannot have a model that is developed in Italy or in California. You really need scientists here who understand the local conditions, who have access to the meteorological data to really develop the regional model that is suited for their region. And this is actually one of the possible projects that we will explore. This is actually very important. I mean, there are huge resources in major meteorological centers in Europe, for example, which run quite elaborate climate models. There are many very specific sort of downstream applications. For example, how does climate affect the production of hydroelectricity? I mean, a country like Ghana, this is a very important, because they depend a lot on hydroelectricity. And if the rainfall is not what it is, so if they want to project what will be the electricity supply for the country, they need to have local climate models. Or even if you have climate models prepared in some big meteorological lab in Europe, you need to figure out how to use it for the hydroelectric simulations. And therefore, you need high quality scientists. And that's why I'm very happy to see all of you here, because you are going to be the future of this kind of a science. Machine learning, high performance computing, and data science are really essential tools for addressing these global challenges. And that's another aspect, that these challenges are really global. I mean, this is where ICTP comes in, that basically climate doesn't respect national boundaries, or the pandemic does not respect national boundaries. If you want to make monsoon predictions for the Indian subcontinent, it doesn't matter whether Pakistan and India don't get along with each other, because climate doesn't respect these local problems. And therefore, it is absolutely essential that we collaborate together, and the scientific community can be the driver for this interaction. And ICTP would like to play a role there. Now, we started to think about this international consortium for scientific computing because we already have very strong domain expertise in many areas of scientific computing. We have a very strong section in climate science, in seismology, in quantitative life sciences, in quantum materials. My colleague here, Professor Sandro Scandalo, he's the head of research at ICTP, and he has been driving this consortium. And also I have colleagues from my high performance computing colleagues, Ivan and Serafina, who will be speaking at your school. But we also have, I mean, I myself, I work on black holes and more cosmology and more topics further removed from applications and mathematics. So in all these areas, ICTP has a strong domain expertise. And even in topics which were conventionally thought to be a bit further removed from heavy computation, nowadays it's inevitable that within 10 years' time, if our scientific institutions are not geared to take advantage of this, we will be left behind. And therefore, ICTP recognized this, and our scientific council actually approved this as a strategic goal 3 years ago, that ICTP should play a role, because after all, we don't want these very important resources to be a privilege and monopoly of just a few companies on the west coast of the United States. And sorry. So that was the idea with which this idea of international consortium started. And so we have strong local expertise. We are already talking to partners. And in that context, the collaboration of South Africa arose. As I said, there is a major need in Global South, but also perhaps in Global East, to create a strong scientific infrastructure and a scientific community around it, which can make use of this computational infrastructure. So at the World Science Forum in Cape Town last year, ICTP signed an important agreement with NITheCS and CHPC in South Africa in the presence of the Minister and the DG of the Department of Science and Innovation. And as I explained, ICTP would like to play an important role in this new niche with given our experience, our convening power and scientific expertise. And we already are formed, and it's a very successful example. I'm very happy that we were able to actually activate, not just sign. Signing an agreement is easy, but to really start implementing it. And within 4 months now, we have this very good school. And some of the South African students have come to ICTP. So we are already started even before, just after we have signed this agreement. But we also have national partners, like there is a very important school, CISA, the Center for National Research. These are the two major scientific national institutions in India, in Italy. I'm from India. And Cineca, which is the supercomputing facility in Italy. Also foundations like Simon's Foundation or Moore Foundation and enterprises like Google and IBM. So the idea of the consortium is to really bring together resources from everywhere and to make it available more broadly, to implement sort of science without borders. And I think this is a fundamental aspect of ICTP's mission is, of course, open science. And when Salam started it 60 years ago, his vision at the time was, of course, naturally was dictated by the demands of the time. At that time, particle physics was a kind of a big frontier. Having information, access to information and journals was the priority, bringing people together. But now, open science fundamentally also means something new, that open science does not simply mean access to information or access to researchers, but access to scientific and computational abilities and to what are the most modern algorithms, how to use them. Not just a big CPU machine, but actually how to use it. So this is where collaboration that we have with South Africa, with NITheCS and CHPC will be very important. And I'm very excited about this. Of course, we have to gather money, which we are not lacking in ambition, but we have to look for money. So let me just end by a few testimonials, just to tell you that I've told you, I'm the director of the institute, so I'm naturally proud of it, but there are others who think very highly of ICTP. So Stephen Hawking, for example, said that over the years, ICTP has left a deep legacy in performing and promoting outstanding fundamental scientific research. And both these are important. And in particular, it has had a major impact supporting science in developing countries. Then another comment is by, David Gross, who is a Nobel laureate. He was the director of Cowley Institute for Theoretical Physics. He's on our scientific council of ICTP currently, and a very good friend of ICTP. So much good emanates from ICTP. Salam's vision of a facility that couples the doing of first-rate research with advanced scientific training has been overwhelmingly vindicated and validated. So I will stop here. I hope you have a successful and exciting school. And maybe, as I said, maybe some of you will visit ICTP in the course of their scientific career. So I will stop here. This is an ICTP as an international hub for science. We are talking about an international consortium for scientific computing. And I hope this school will be a very good beginning to our collaboration.
Yeah, thank you very much, Atish, for an excellent talk. Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing the areas of expertise of ICTP, because if you read here, they're exactly the same areas of expertise as NITheCS. Yeah, so thank you very much. So, and now just to come to an end of the opening, I would like to invite Dr. Happy SITHOLE of NICIS and the CHPC to say a few words. Thank you very much, Happy.
Thank you very much, Francesco, for the introduction, and colleagues, good afternoon. I would really like first to acknowledge the presence of the Department of Science and Innovation, which is our funder, represented by Mr. Imraan PATEL, who's always been supportive of our events and making sure that he comes in person, even if he had option of participating virtually. It is that support that we always appreciate, and the colleagues from ICTP for making this a long trip, and even though Mr. Patel indicated he doesn't have jet lag, but we know it takes a lot of effort, especially now after, the COVID. It's not easy to travel internationally. So we really appreciate it. And colleagues, I think on that very set time when we start this school, as Mr. Patel indicated, when we ended the week with the passing of a very dear colleague, and really somebody who was pioneering in setting up, especially the NITheCS and driving that part. And when we started NICIS, Dr. Daniel Adams working very hard on this, making sure that the committees come up with the recommendation, finalize all the recommendations, and pushing also for the international collaboration. So losing him at this stage just after he retired, I think it is only that we can say his soul rest in peace, but for us to keep carrying on the work that he started and he aspired. So it is our duty to continue with this. But also, with the signing of the ICTP and NITheCS that the director indicated, it is very, very important, because at the heart of ICTP and NITheCS, we want to look at changing the landscape of what South Africa is presenting to the international community and the development of the computational sciences in general. In most cases, if you would look at this, is that when we go and do on our computational sciences, it's about the maturity of our algorithms and the problems that we want to solve. And all of us, we know, if you do not have access to the algorithms and be able to tune them, you cannot be able to go beyond what you are doing. And you will be limited by, the capacity of those algorithms. So it is very important that we go into that and be able to go into the nuts and bolts of the algorithms that we use. My experience in this, as a material scientist, I had an option of just getting into a black box and dropping things and be limited by that. But immediately when I realized and I moved from there, and I said, let me go to the fundamentals, and went and develop interatomic potentials, then I could be able to solve problems beyond what was there and open up new doors. So this is something that we're looking for in terms of what South Africa should be able to deliver. And some of the goals, you will see that as NITheCS develop, some of the targets will be, what is it that we're bringing on the table? Not just the research, but what are the new tools that we come up with? And it starts from somewhere. It starts from the point where you have to understand your theory that you are modeling and simulating from, and you understand your computational sciences, and you understand the platforms that you are developing these algorithms for. So the partnership with ICTP, NITheCS, and CHPC gives you that 3 spheres that will be able to help you to develop. And for that, I'm really grateful also that in this participation, we have got various countries that are in here, represented from the rest of Africa. This is also just well with the national initiatives from South Africa in bringing together African countries in making sure that we can develop the computational sciences, not just in South Africa, but in the rest of Africa. We have got programs like your square kilometer array partnership that we're making sure that the data sciences and big data analysis and tools are developed in all the 8 partner countries that are on SKA. And with that, some very good initiatives have come. We have got infrastructure already there in these countries, but we're making sure that the research is taking place. So seeing them also being part of this, it is really encouraging. I was encouraged as we walked into the hall, and one gentleman stopped me and said, I come from Ghana, but now I work in Ireland. I've got a job in Ireland. And I started using the computing in CHPC. And even now in my job in Ireland, I still use CHPC for the work that I do in collaboration with the universities in South Africa, and whenever I use that in Ireland. So those are the type of things that we need to get. And if I can just highlight with this is that it is also the partnership with ICTP that started some of these discussions. Back in 2009, when we were focusing on the material science applications, and today in Kenya, and today those people that were participating in the, you will see publications coming out of high performance computing because of that, big users coming from that point. So I believe also this program falls into that, that we will be able to tap on those existing collaborations and even build much bigger collaborations that goes into the fundamentals and get into building the tools for the computational sciences. And I would also like to congratulate our organizers in putting these carefully selected topics. And the topics that have been selected, I believe they will really be able to strengthen the development in high performance computing in the continent. Because if you look at what you are coming up with, it's getting into the basics of high performance computing, but some of the critical areas of how do we use the modern tools like machine learning now to even enhance our use of high performance computing. So colleagues really take these things seriously during this time, because once you grasp those basics, they will help you in making sure that you are productive in HPC. The trends in the computing environment, as you can see, start to depart from the normal algorithms that we had. The machines now are built not for your normal algorithms that we had, because high performance computing now is driven by other users outside your normal scientific computing. Machine learning, artificial intelligence become important, and the architecture also changed. Like now we're talking about the big core, count chips that are coming, because we are looking at now taking advantage of the big data analytics and the like. So if we do not innovate in terms of our algorithms, then we are going to lose out on that. We're having a chart with Sarafina earlier when we were talking about GPU and looking at how much we are losing out in the GPUs that you choose. You know, you're choosing, let's say, for an example, 2 GPUs in your node, but you're using less than 50% of them. So I think it is important that we understand the fundamentals so that we can be able to share this capacity well, and we can be able to work much more efficiently. And those are some of the things that I think that we need to try and get out of this. But more importantly, it might look like it's still something far away when we talk about quantum computing. And it is real. It's there, it's coming. There are some applications that are taking care of that. 15 years ago, GPU were saying that it's for niche, but now it's almost pervasive and it's standard. So you could imagine if now, all of a sudden, the classical computer can be swept out of our feet, and we are not ready with understanding the algorithms. We are not ready to be able to use our applications on the quantum computer. So the time is now, and this school offers you those opportunities. So in closing, I would say, Director, I'm really happy with the proposal that you are putting of collaboration. I think our collaboration in infrastructure, as I indicated, we do have got like now some base of infrastructure around the continent and some activities that I have already highlighted. And what you are proposing will fit in well into this. And I could also just indicate that besides the MOU that has been signed with ICTP, South Africa also signed in June last year an MOU with IFEP that Chineka is sitting in. And we are also looking at collaborating in terms of sharing of infrastructure. And I have been in discussion with Professor Sancio Bassini. And in fact, in the next month, I'm planning to visit. There is a new machine that has been put there, which is a machine mainly big GPU based. Whilst in South Africa, we're still building big x86 system, we can collaborate well in our applications working in there. Already, we are also driven by the science in there. And I guess Dr. Mary Jane Bopape is going to talk today. This is one area that we are also focusing in, because there are some areas that between South Africa and Italy, we planning to develop in terms of the climate modeling. So we will latch on those type of applications to strengthen our collaboration. So with that, I think that colleagues, we have got something good that is going on. And also let me echo my chiefs who talked earlier to wish you all the best during this workshop. And I take that out of this. One of the things that we want to evaluate is the impact from the workshop. And the impact is about that gentleman that I talked about that didn't have access to HPC and now is working in Ireland. But also, I would like to see what has been the impact on your production in terms of HPC after what we learned today. And those stories will be very useful for us, because as much as Mr. PATEL was soft here, when it comes to the time of accounting, he asks us, what is the impact? And if you don't give me that story, he's not going to sign the next check. So colleagues, let's work together on this and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy. Thank you very much.